Everybody, welcome back to the Hobby Lodge. So today I'm going to be doing an unboxing of this game, which is Warhammer Underworlds Harrowdeep from Games Workshop. Now this is part of their series of Warhammer Underworld games, and this is the latest expansion, Harrowdeep. So I thought I would have a look at what's inside, talk about the game a little bit for people that have never even experienced Warhammer Underworlds, and show you what you get in the latest expansion. Now this retails for £65, you can see it there, or whatever your equivalent is wherever you are, but most of the time you can probably get this for around 50 to 55 if you look in sort of third-party retailers, because they tend to get a bit of a discount. I just happened to be in a Games Workshop when I picked this up. I wasn't sent it, I bought it with my own money, so everything I say is going to be my own opinion of the game. And we actually have played this a number of times in the Hobby Lodge, the previous versions of the game. I even have a bunch of painted miniatures, which maybe I will show at the end if people, well, I'll show them, and if people are interested, you'll keep watching. If you're not, you'll finish the video at that point. But let's jump into this. As you can see, it's sealed, so I don't even know what's in it myself. Got an idea on the miniatures and stuff, but I thought we would we'd explore it together. So let's do that. We can take a look at the back while we're here and see what's in here. So just to quickly explain it, obviously those of you who know Warhammer know they're known for their big tabletop war games. So Age of Sigmar or 40k or Warhammer Fantasy, you might remember it being called instead of Age of Sigmar. Big epic sized games, so the games that are played on the big table that I've got behind me, with tends to be with hundreds of miniatures and takes hours and hours to play. This is a much more cut down version of a game, so this is more coffee table sized, and it's it's more like 5 to 10 warriors, sometimes even less depending on who they are, and it's a bit of tactics with movement and fighting, but also then playing cards and upgrades on your characters. So think a lot smaller, think of something you can probably play in half an hour and not too hard to get into. So everything in this box is everything you need for 2 players. So if you fancied grabbing a tabletop game for you and your other half or your family, this is not a bad little war game to start off with in the world of Warhammer. So as you can see on the back here, we've got a whole bunch of stuff. We've got some models in there, clearly some cards, the sort of playing surface, which even that's tactical in how that can be set up, a bunch of tokens and cards. So we'll jump in and we'll take a look. Nicely presented. I like the artwork on the front of this one. They always seem to do great stuff with their artwork, so not really much to say that isn't been done said 100 times, really. Okay, so the first thing off the top is the board. As you can see there, it's a hexagon board, so these tell you how far you need to move. So in other Warhammer games, you would tend to measure distances. Don't need to do any measuring here. Each square, or each hexagon as it were, is a one movement. So if your character can move 3, they can move 3. So let's have a quick look inside of here. And when you set up your game, you're able to move these how you want. So although it shows on the back of the box them just in a typical rectangle layout, you are able to actually mix and match a little bit and offset one of these boards against each other, just to give a bit of variety in the way you might set out your battlefield. So yeah, as you can see here, good quality card, good clear images. The reds tend to be either traps or impassable areas, so you can't pass through here, or if you did, maybe this has some sort of impact on your character. And these symbols here tend to mark where your characters start, so when they start a game you can place them on these areas. But yeah, again, another impassable terrain. So yeah, I think this is terrain you can't pass, and these are danger squares, so something nasty is going to happen to you if you step on this. So you get one board and you get a second board as well. Very similar, again double-sided, so a bit of variety. There we go, lovely artwork again on there. Look at that, that's fantastic. So yeah, you lay these out to create your board. Okay, then we've got your tokens, lots and lots of lovely tokens, again easily enough for 2 players. The first thing you've got on here are things like your objective markers. So often in the game, it's not just about killing each other, it's maybe holding an objective. Have you got the most characters around this precious gem here to make sure it's secured for your team? You know, and the cards will dictate which one of these you need to secure. So it might say secure objective 3, which is this one here, obviously it's marked with 3. You want to get your players onto it to make sure that no one else can have it. You then got these kind of gold tokens, or I believe they're called glory in this game. When you kill an opponent or when you achieve an objective, you gain glory. You can then spend that glory to upgrade a character, make them even more powerful. You got your wound tokens, sort of shown by the red ones. You've got your activation tokens, so whether they're on guard, these ones over here are the on guard tokens. You've then got whether they've taken their turn and they've stopped. You've got other bits and pieces on here as well. All lovely colours, looking pretty snazzy. But, you know, again, Games Workshop always do very high quality materials for their games. Even more objective markers and trap markers and more rune tokens, glory tokens, status markers for your characters. Yep. Each version of the game, when they release it, tends to have a slight differentiation in the rules. Obviously, they're always developing the rules, but often the games have, you know, an extra feature, like they brought magic in at one point and other bits and pieces. So some of those tokens are even new to me, even though I've played the game a number of times, because they probably added something new in this series of the game. Right, big old rule book here. Well, not a big old rule book. It's large, as in it's an A4 size. Well, I wish you had smell-o-vision, because you would be able to smell the newness of this paper. A very distinctive new book smell to it. So what have we got here? Underneath, we've got our building instructions for our models. But yeah, there's the rule book. So the rule book's not very thick at all. You'll probably find that a good chunk of this is sort of just getting... Yeah, there you go. There's the introduction. So before that, you've got all of these pages of lore, story to get you into the game. You know, why are you there? What are you battling for? Who are the two factions in the game that you've got? So yeah, a whole bunch of stuff there you can take a look at. You can then jump into all of the bits in the actual game. So how you build decks for your characters, how different pieces are played, so playing the game, all of the rules, the different symbols on the dice. So this sometimes is a good one to have open as a kind of a reference page. But this isn't a complex game. You'll read it. You'll probably take half an hour to read this, you know, by yourself, or read it together with someone, so you're both understanding it. You tend to have a bit of a card phase, an action phase, a movement phase, and then a finishing up phase is probably roughly where you're at. 3 or 4 phases per turn, so you know, really easy to get into it, and I think it's meant to be played in that sort of 30 minutes kind of period of time, so nothing too heavy. Both my son behind me and my other kids as well all play this game, and they've all gotten on with it very, very well. So yeah, nice little rule book. Nice and clear. Often, if you look on the back, if you ever get one of these games, the back page tends to have a bit of a reference guide there. So if there's things that come up during the game you're not sure of, you can refer to here. So here you've got these kind of steps in a turn. So activation, reaction, inspire, surge, and so on and so forth. Combat sequencing down here, so you can literally follow through how you actually engage with the fight. And sometimes they look more complicated than they are. Sometimes they do put that in the diagram. Once you've played a couple of turns, it will feel very natural and you'll be able to just crack on. Right, let's have a quick look at the models then. So there's your instructions to build. Now, in this day and age, they all pretty much come as push-fit models, so you don't even sometimes need any glue. These ones look to be... no, actually, okay, I'll take that back. These ones, I think, are glue, so you do need some plastic glue. You can use super glue. I'd probably advise against it if you can avoid it. Actually get yourself some plastic glue from Amazon or anywhere else. You can go to a hardware store, sorry, hobby stores, that sort of thing, like Hobbycraft in the UK. Just because super glue actually creates a layer, so sometimes you end up with gaps in your miniatures and they look a bit weird. Also, it's very, very sticky on your fingers and you end up sticking your hand to a miniature. Well, plastic glue melts the two surfaces of glue and then they stick together and they create a bond, and it's a lot stronger and it can be a lot neater. So if you can and you're up for it, get yourself some plastic glue. So this is what we all came here to see. So this is, I believe, the orcs for Harrowdeep. Let me get a picture of them so we can see what we're dealing with here. let's maybe have a look on the back. Let's take these out. We've got the cards and the dice to come to, so we'll come to those. Let's flip these over. So you can see on the back here, this is one of the orcs here. So they're a new style of orc for Games Workshop. They're not the traditional orcs you would have seen, but they look very, very cool. The details on them is fantastic, as you would expect. They're very forgiving in that they're very good levels of plastic, and they go together very easily. It does actually look, I've told a lie, they absolutely are also push fit in places. So in many areas there, these will just push together. So you might not even need that glue. So what I'd recommend is have a go at push fitting them. If you feel like it's secure, move on. If you feel like it could easily fall apart, maybe just add a touch of glue. With the push fit models, sometimes, again, just a tip for people who want to do it, air gets trapped between the peg. So this bit here, for instance, let me see if the camera can focus in on this a sec. There we go. So there's a peg there, right? That peg is going to go into, say, a hole on this miniature here, right? Now what happens is as you push it together, air gets trapped between the peg and the hole. So you can't quite physically close it. You really might push quite hard and it might not go, and you might end up with a gap. If that happens, just get a pair of clippers and trim a millimeter off of that peg. Very small little slither of the plastic. Just trim it off with a little like a craft knife, like I've got. So literally just make a small cut across there. Not big. Don't cut the whole peg off. Just a little bit. Or if you've got a pair of clippers, do it. And it means that it will finish before, and you'll actually get it fully closed, rather than having the air will still be trapped in there. But because the peg isn't as long, there's room for both, so you can have both the models stuck together, and you'll find it a much closer, much tighter fit, and you won't end up with a big gap in the side of your miniature, because no one wants that. If you do, you can always use filler and stuff to do it, but I would recommend, if you can get away with it, then just cut it short. So yeah, there's the orcs. So there are, you can count by bases, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 orc miniatures on here, and they look absolutely terrific. And again, because they're coloured green, if you don't want to paint your miniatures, just leave them green. Just play the game as it is. You don't have to paint them if you don't want to. I do, but that's part of the hobby for me. But if you just want to play a game with the Sigmarites versus the Orcs and you want them to go to battle, these guys are green, the other guys are blue. Have a whale of a time. Right, let's have a look at the Stormcast Eternals, the Sigmarites. Here are the Stormcast Eternals. You on here, you get 1, 2, 3. They tend to be very powerful, so you don't get many of them. And then I believe there is a beast of some description. I think it's like an eagle or something, if I'm not correct, if I'm not wrong. We can have a quick look in a second. I'll grab the instructions again. But yeah, there's a mixture of kind of sword and board type miniatures, but also clearly one with a bow and arrow there, which looks very, very cool. Be careful with this. This will easily break, so just be a little bit careful with your clippers and such. But yeah, you've got one with a massive two-handed sledgehammer there, a bow and arrow, and all sorts of other gubbins, and a sword. Yeah, it definitely looks like there's a bird of some description. I can see the wings there. So yeah, got lots of these Sigmarite Stormcast Eternals, but they do get better and better every time they release new ones. So yeah, again, great quality plastics, great details all over the miniatures. Again, push fit, so nothing too heavy to deal with. And yeah, build them. They're already blue. Crack on and play. But if you want, prime them and paint them. Let's have a look what else there was. Let's have a look at the book shows them in their actual finished form. I'm sure the book probably does if I flip open to a certain page. Oh, there we go. Let me look. So there we go. Let me fold this back so you can see. So you've got this lady here, is it? There's a Kathia, yeah, with a lantern and a big old sword. You've got I can't say these names. Doraz, Giant Fell, the guy with the massive two-handed mace. Looks very cool. Luxa, Storm Rider, so he's the guy with the big bow and arrow. And then Taros, the eagle there. So you've got nice collection there. Oh, I wasn't talking to you. My Alexa thinks she's going to jump in and join the conversation. Look at this guy. Big old lump he is. Torka, Tough Skull, Shank, Gikek, Crook Grin and Manok the Cunning. There you go. They look pretty cool, I must admit. So yeah. So yeah, you've got Xandri's Truth Seekers and the Cunning Crew. The Cunning Crew. Very cool looking miniatures. So that's everything. So if you build those 2 sprues of miniatures, that's what you're going to end up with. 2 lovely looking sets of warriors. You're definitely outnumbered if you're the Stormcast Eternals, but your miniatures tend to be significantly stronger. So, you know, you can take a bit of a beating. Right, we've got some dice. Nothing really special to show here, apart from lovely dice. I mean, what more could you want? So yeah, you got the red ones, which tend to be more for magical attacks. You've got some Stormcast Eternal dice there. And then you've got some dice. I'm going to assume these are for the orcs. Because, yeah, that's what my guess is. On here, you simply have attacking and defending and dodging and critical hits. Critical hits tend to have the exclamation marks on them. So you're rolling these against your opponent. What does he get? What do they get? I defended or I killed you. Simple as that, or I dodged or whatever. So nice and simple. I've actually got hundreds and hundreds of these dies now because I've got many expansions. I've got so many. Right, the last thing in the box is the cards. Now, unlike other Warhammer games, this one does actually use a card mechanic. So think of other games out there, like a Magic the Gathering game or other types of games that actually have a deck building part of the game. And this means that whilst you're maneuvering your characters and hitting each other with your weapons, you've also got spells and abilities to upgrade your characters with. So maybe they get a new sword, maybe they get a new shield, maybe they get an ability that allows them to run slightly faster or hit with different. You know, before they could only hit with the this symbol, but now this symbol means they can hit on that as well, so they become much easier to hit or to defend. These are all what's in these cards. They come pre-built, which is nice for people that want to start. As you can see here, you've got I'll bring this up. You've got that Xandri's Truth Seekers Warband deck. So in here is all you need. Don't need to do anything else. All right, and in this one you've got the Cunning Crew's Warband deck. Again, everything you need. But once you've gotten used to the game, they give you extra cards. So these are generic extra cards that can be used for many other warbands in the game. And the same with these ones. So as you can see, they're universal cards. These will work for either warband or any new warband you might pick up. And there are a lot of warbands in this game. I've painted and built at least 12. And maybe I'll leave a link of video above me here, or I will put it at the end of this video to show you the worst warbands that I own. But yeah, so you can start off with these starter decks, and that's what I'd recommend you do. Your opponent, yourself, play the game, learn the mechanics, see how you go. Then start to look through these cards and see if any of these are good replacements for your own. Maybe some of the objectives in here never seem to come up for you. Maybe some of the powers and abilities never seem that useful. So if they aren't, swap them out. Get rid of them. Optimize your deck. Get it to its, at the peak of its playability by using these cards. And then if you ever got a new warband, they will come with cards as well. Do the same again. So yeah, pretty good. Let's have a quick look at one of them so I can kind of show you what's in there. So here you go. Here's your characters. So here's Xandri the Inspired. Now these cards tend to have 2 sides. There we go. This is the uninspired side. So this is how they'd start the game. They'd start the game with the blue side up. Now if they fulfill their inspiration, and this is what's in this gold box here. And it says here, 1 or more friendly fighters other than Taros are out of action. So as your men start to go out of action, actually the ones remaining become inspired. When they become inspired, you flip them over to their gold side, and they're now even better than what they were. So these guys, even when they're taking damage, and maybe one of them or 2 of them's been killed, they get better. They go, right, that's it. We're not having this. We're going to take them down. So yeah, you play the game and inspire them. You've got things like their movement, their defense, their attack, their weapons, all mean stuff in the game, even some special abilities that each player might have. Okay, so oh sorry, that's their life. Apologies, not their attack. That's their actual health. But yeah, very easy to get in and play and learn. You have these kind of laid out in front of you, and then you've got your actual deck, and the deck is made up of 2 sets of cards: gold cards, which are your objectives, as it were. This is what's going to gain you your glory. This is what you're going to use to earn those coins to then pay for upgrades on your characters. And then these are those things. Some of these are ploys, some of these are upgrades, and you can use these to see there, like a flight of darts. I can buy this and put it on one of my characters. So lots of abilities here. So the deck's made up of these 2 things. You'll be drawing these throughout the game, the gold and the silver. And these are your characters that you're going to be playing on. So again, these will be laid out in front of you. These will actually be on a deck to the side of you. You'll draw from this deck and you'll play your cards. Right, I think probably that is it. Hopefully that's given you a bit of an insight into the new expansion, which is Warhammer Underworld's Harrowdeep. Here's the box again, looking very awesome. I can highly recommend it. We've played it an awful lot from the very first iteration of the game, Warhammer Underworlds, which was again Stormcast Eternals and the Undead. And there's been many since. The last one we have is Dire Chasm. There was Beastgrave before that, and so on and so forth. So, but you don't need to have those. You can start from this point. But if you were to pick up any of the other ones, they're all compatible with each other. So you know, you're just getting more warbands and more cards and all that sort of stuff. So again, nice little kitchen top, dining room table, whatever kind of game for you and someone else to go at it and have a fight. So I hope you enjoyed the vid. Maybe I don't know if I will stick it on here, some painted miniatures that I've done, but I will link a video as well if you want to go and see those. But otherwise, yeah, go and check out my Instagram. They're all on there as well. It's the Hobby Lodge on Instagram. If you like the video, please give it a like. Consider subscribing for all things tabletop gaming, digital gaming, retro gaming. This does also exist as an actual digital video game as well, so you can play this without having to go and purchase it. Go on to Steam, go and take a look. It's on there, Warhammer Underworlds. Right, thanks very much for watching. I'll see you soon, okay? Bye-bye!